Now this one is a special dedicated to all the bicycle man them man. Especially to a man, 7-man gang, Easy Papa and Devon. Love the nature there, my car. Love the bicycle man, not the bicycle man, burn them in the bicycle man.
Welcome to Bike Life Radio, where we go out in the world with a recorder and we talk to people about their bikes and their lives and we play bike music. I'm Kyle Isacksen of the Truckee Meadows Bike Alliance, bikewashoe.org. Today we're going to talk to a young man about lack of bike infrastructure in our community. He's like a new arrival here, and so we're going to get some good outside perspective here. And he also talks about what to do about it. And then we're going to talk to a guy who wanted to change a community. All he had was his bike and a bucket and a trailer and his determination. And he succeeded. Now he's running for office. His name is Kyle Isacksen. Before we get to that, we want to talk about the bike news from around the world. In Colorado, stoplights are not stoplights. They are stop signs. At least bike riders can treat stoplights like stop signs there now. Governor Jared Polis signed a bill into law last month that allows anyone using a low-speed vehicle to get out of intersections faster. Intersections are really dangerous, and they can do that by just treating the stoplight like a stop sign and also treating stop signs like yield signs. Out in New Jersey, a reminder of how dangerous it can be out there. A liberal media critic who founded Salon magazine was killed by a New Jersey train. Eric Bollert, 57, was riding a bicycle at night, and he wrote for Rolling Stone and Billboard magazine. Indiana University Bloomington will be at Bike Summit 2022 this year. It's a gold-level bicycle-friendly university. They have 120 bike lockers. There are so many that they had to stack them on top of each other. They found a problem, though. People didn't know what they were, so they had to put signs on them that said, Bike Locker. Out in California, there is a $10 million grant to develop a program to get low-income people to use e-bikes instead of cars to commute. The California Air Resources Board is soliciting a grantee to implement and administer the Electric Bicycles Incentives Project. The award will be announced in June. $10 million. In global news, Giant Bicycles is waiting as long as 2 years for some of their bike parts because of disruptions and lockdowns that are screwing up the global supply chain. The company has shut down one of its plants in China. Overall, bike inventories are improving, though, with about a 4-week supply compared to nearly zero last year. Speaking of China, you know those 25% tariffs that President Trump put in place? They don't apply to kids on kids' bikes and some bikes under $600 as well as helmets. Those exclusions were reinstated by the U.S. Trade Representative's Office in March. The Dutch are reporting annual traffic accident statistics. Of the 580 people killed in accidents in that country over the whole year, 200 were cyclists, most of them on e-bikes, and a third of the victims are over the age of 55. They're pushing older people to wear helmets. If you don't use your helmet or ride your bike for a while, spiders move in, right? Well, it's not just spiders. In Derby, England, the BBC reported that a photographer, Sarah White, was doing some tidying up around her cottage. She moved a bike that she uses for wedding shoots, and a bird flew out. Upon closer inspection, there were some eggs in a basket. It's really sweet, but we feel like we have to look out for them. There are some cats around, White told the news. So the moral of the story, ride your bike to keep the birds and cats and wasps and spiders away. That's it for bike news. Before we get to those interviews about what we need to do to change our community with bikes, and Kyle Isacksen, who is doing that, we're going to listen to Monkey, Bicycle. It's a song. It's called Bicycle, and it's by the band Monkey. Here it is.
Loving with on these dirty lips, so I write and write, but I can't break through. All the lies we tell about each other, circling around us now forever, and we can't escape it, can't avoid the new. That's why I'm rolling downtown on my bicycle. Yes, I'm rolling downtown on my bicycle. Well, I'm rolling downtown on my bicycle. Yes, I'm rolling downtown on my bicycle too fast.
A supporter of bike life is Gear Hut, and we stopped by a while ago to chat with a new arrival to Reno and his impression of our bicycle accessibility. His name is Quentin.
Hey, we have, like, from what I've seen, horrible situation in terms of, like, no protected bike lanes or anything. And then to get, like, anywhere outside of the city, just, like, no bike lanes at all, or you're on an unprotected bike lane with, like, 40-mile-an-hour traffic.
It's kind of scary, isn't it?
I mean, like, for me, I'm super, super tough, you know? I have, like, brass balls. I'm super cool. I'm not scared of anything. But I think, yeah, to make biking more accessible, you gotta have protected bike lanes or you know, even just put them behind the parked cars, all the sorts of stuff, you know?
So let me tell you a really quick story. On Center Street, there's supposed to be a protected bike path, and the city was in the process of putting in this Center Street protected bike path for university students to be able to get from university to downtown to midtown. And then the casinos were like, wait a minute, it's not going to be in front of our casino?
Oh,
Stop
man.
everything. And the RTC was like, the Regional Transportation Commission, they were like, oh yeah, let's hold off on this plan.
So how does the RTC work? Are they appointed here, or is an elected board?
They're appointed.
And they're appointed from, like, supervisors and Metro.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. From the other, so from, like, I'm not 100% sure, but from the Washoe County Commission, there's a member. From the city of Sparks, there's a member. From the city of Reno, there's a member, and they're all elected officials in their jurisdiction. But then they get appointed.
Oh, great.
And I'm not sure how they end up getting appointed to that board.
Yeah. I worked in local politics in Santa Cruz, and we had a similar thing with trying to build a greenway, which is like a converted railway track into a bike lane. And the RTC is the same thing there. You don't know whose campaigns are getting paid for what. And so kind of a big point is, like, figure out where there's an election for someone that will be on the board and win someone in that's either not going to get paid by the casinos or is at least on board with biking and whatnot. But
So what do you think we need to do here in Reno?
Oh gosh. Well, that's funny. I was just talking with my mom. Like, in general, like,
Was that your mom who was laughing at your brass balls over there?
probably, yeah, on the other side.
She's laughing at the other side. We got like a clothes rack behind us that's about 10 feet tall, and she was hiding behind it, giggling as you were talking. There she is. Do you ride a bike, ma'am?
I do not.
What's your name, ma'am?
I'm Danielle.
Danielle. And you got hit by a car. And when you were a child.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It must have been a horrible experience. What happened?
I mean, I was like 6, so this is a long time ago. I mean, basically, I was just riding a bike and got hit by a car, so I was okay, but sort of made me afraid of bikes and cars after that. So
Yeah. So the tandem, though, are you okay on that?
yeah, because someone else is sort of in control, and I just have to pedal. So I like that.
Yeah, my mom and her husband rode around the world in 2000 on a tandem.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, I don't know, 30 countries or something like that, but the entire year camping most of the time. Yeah, the book's for sale over at the Hub Coffee Roasters over on the river.
That's
yeah,
so
it's like a
cool.
300-page book about
Really?
every day along the entire journey and maps and everything. And they rode on
my
a tandem.
gosh.
And they rode on a tandem because initially they were training on individual bikes, and my mom was supposed to ride across the country in like a couple of days, and they were training, and she hit a 2x4 in the road and fell like on her face and broke a bunch of ribs, and but she still got on the bike and rode across the country.
Wow.
But her husband was like, we can't do this because like ride around the world on individual bikes, and so he got a tandem, and that's what they rode
Yeah,
on.
tandems are great. Yeah, we talk about getting one for Reno that's, got better tires and more gears and kind of more suited. But yeah, I like riding that way because I feel safer.
Yeah. So when you said you don't ride a bike, that's not true. You do.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, we've found out the truth about you. You're a closet bike rider.
That's right.
Well, that's awesome. Do you have any thoughts about, how to make things safer here in Reno for cyclists?
I would say in general, it seems like there's a lot of the river that could be taken care of to make people in general feel safer, kids and families and things like that. I think that would be an improvement.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. And so I'm with the Truckee Meadows Bicycle Alliance, and we have a radio show called Bike Life on
cool.
K-Wink Radio, which is owned and operated by the Reno Bike Project, which is a really similar operation to this in that they sell or even give away bike parts, and it's all used bike parts. And
Wow.
you can go in and pay like a little bit of money each month or even just to like work on your bike, and have all the tools there, and then they have advisors there who will help you.
Bike church.
Bike church. Oh, is that in Santa Cruz?
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, similar.
That's a place I'm going to have to go visit. Bike church
Yeah.
in Santa Cruz. Very
Yeah.
similar kind of model.
Yeah.
So we're talking about bike gear, and would it be accurate for me to say that your favorite piece of bike gear is that tandem, or do you have something else that you really like?
That would be the favorite. Oh, and we have a basket that goes in front of the tandem that our dog fits into.
Nice.
So that would probably be my favorite part.
Is it the dog that is your favorite piece of bike gear, or is it the basket?
It's the dog. Yeah.
Sometimes it's the thing that you can put in
Exactly.
with
in the
the gear.
basket. Yeah, exactly.
One of the things, since we're talking about bike gear, one of the things that a lot of people might not think of as bike gear is a pool noodle.
That's what I was gonna say.
Wow. What do you mean?
Come on over, Quentin. Come here. You got to describe the pool noodle part of riding a bike.
So this is in relation to this 3 feet law you're talking about. People will put a pool noodle on their bike that sticks out as like to me it's hilarious because it's equally functional and also ridiculous, and it's like a statement, but it's also like ironic, but you don't know if people are doing it ironically or seriously. I love it.
Great idea. Wow.
Yeah,
Never
so-
knew that.
Yeah, you just like tape the pool noodle to the back of your bike, and it
Yeah.
sticks out, and and it's like super bright and fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You're not going to injure the car. It's not like sticking a big metal pole out there or something like
Yeah.
a ski pole. You like scratch the car.
Great idea.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah. So do you think you might do that on the back of your
I
tandem?
think so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You learned something today.
I did, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. It was very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Thank you, Quentin.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. We've been chatting with Quentin about his impression of the Reno area and its bike facilities and how to improve them. Now we turn to a guy who has a history of success in building a bike business that changed Reno forever. His name's Kyle Isacksen.
I have never ridden a bicycle. No, just kidding. Yes, I am one of those people.
You have ridden a
I
bike.
have ridden a bicycle, yes.
Not just if you're understating the reality, aren't you?
Yeah, no, in reality, I am a big bicyclist for kind of getting from point A to point B. I don't really do any trail riding anymore, or even like long distances. It's just, for me, it's like getting through town.
You carry your kids on your bike,
Yeah,
stuff like
so
that.
I have a
You didn't even have a
16-year-old
car
now.
for a while.
Yeah,
No car.
yes. So my wife and I, we have 2 kids. They're both, they're 13 and 16 now, so they're grown. But for about 8 years, we didn't have a car, and so we would just bike around with them, pulling them in trailers, and then on the back of an extra cycle, sometimes with a trailer on the back of the extra cycle, so it was like a caravan. And then eventually, as my kids got older and more capable and competent, and we felt it was safe enough, we would ride around with them from where we need to go, the river, downtown to the Discovery Museum, yeah, wherever, over to Grandma's.
It's like normal for you.
It's yeah, it's kind of what we do. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite bike story?
I have 2 stories. Yeah.
Okay, tell us one now.
Okay.
Then one later.
Okay. So the first one that came to mind was these two guys in a big pickup truck who were hassling me as I was biking. And my wife and I were biking together. And these guys came up, and the guy might have been drunk, but he just started heckling. I was like, "What are you doing on the road? You shouldn't have a bike on the road." And I was like, "Dude, like this is where we're supposed to be." He's like, "Get on the sidewalk." I was like, "No, we're allowed on the road." No. And I was like, "In fact, you're supposed to be 3 feet away from me right now." So I just kind of poked his, poked his door, but.
You know what I realize is that we haven't told anybody why we're at Soup, a restaurant, right? And why are we here?
Yeah, so Soup was one of the first restaurants that signed on to our food waste and collection service, which is now called Down to Earth Composting. Back in 2015, I was looking around and saying, like, why aren't we doing more in our community to to compost our food and our green waste? And so kind of did some research, learned a few things, learned that there were these really cool bicycle-powered food waste collection services all across the country, and I said, we need that here, and so I just made it. And like I said, Soup was one of the first restaurants to sign on for collection, and every week, maybe it was twice a week, I would come here with my bike and a homemade do-it-yourself bicycle cart and pick up very heavy buckets or very heavy garbage pails of high-quality food waste and bring them around through town to various spots where they would be composted and turned into soil.
Yeah, and I remember when you started doing that, and I'd see either you or I'd see some employee of yours riding around, and I was like, they're crazy. That's never going to work here. The reason why I thought it was so crazy is that, like, if I make a salad, I don't have very much food waste. And so I was thinking, where is it? You'd have to ride around for a long time before you got enough food waste to really make anything. But was I right or wrong?
No, you're totally wrong. Again, Kai. We actually started off on the commercial side to try to, 2 reasons. One, because we knew we would collect more, and our goal was to divert as much as we could from the landfill where it gets turned into methane, which is a crazy greenhouse gas. And so we're like, well, let's just start, where there's the most food. The other reason was because, partnering with well-known restaurants, they put the sign up so all their customers come in and see, like, oh, they're part of this cool program. It's a way to get our name out there. And then the other reason was we didn't want it to grow too fast. We kind of wanted to dial it in and start with just a handful of places and not have to go all over the place. So we really focused on downtown and midtown restaurants to start with. Be a ton of the carrots that were shredded and used for carrot juice or something, or coffee grounds. We worked with Coffee Bar and Hub coffee roasters, and so we just have bins full of these coffee grounds. One of the main reasons we did it was to just draw attention to this, that we need to be doing better as a community in how we dispose of what we use, because the truth is, if we capture it, just like if we capture green waste like leaves or shredded up plant material, we can turn that into an incredibly useful material, compost, to develop soil, to grow food, to grow trees. And that when you develop healthy soils, it captures carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. So we do our part in trying to mitigate global warming. And in Reno, for example, we need more trees. We have a really low tree canopy. It's like 7% or something, with the goal being something like 15%. And so it's a way to kind of close these loops and do a lot of things locally. Just imagine if we captured even a third of all the food waste in this community and a third of the green waste, there's a tremendous amount of improvement we could do with our local soils.
this up online and you found out that, hey, there's this
Well, so just to back up one step, it's, I had a bike, I threw a trailer together, and I knew how to bike, so there's like zero overhead to do it. So I was like, all right, this is perfect. And got a couple bins. Actually, let's see, we started off just with them garbage bales, but then eventually people donated these amazing, rolling, these garbage bins with lids that lock and have wheels. But yeah, the first couple places we went to were Grateful Gardens and Liberty and Compo. I think I reached out to all the new customers via email first and just said, hey, here's this cool thing we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's why it might be good for your business. And here's the program. And here's what it costs. And so that's the other point, is that we're charging people extra to divert their waste. That's how we, make it a successful business. And so it's amazing that the restaurants would say, yeah, we care enough, and Laughing Planet was another one, we care enough to pay somebody and to take this little bit of extra effort, instead of putting it all in one trash can, to come and collect this, because we know it's good for the community, it's good for the planet.
How big was the bike part of that?
So the bike part was because I wanted to be like wraparound sustainable and really push that point that we're not using fossil fuels in the collection and the movement of it, and then also to demonstrate how bikes can be used in the urban environment, and that it's a really legitimate, really effective way of doing this thing. And it's kind of funny because we're collecting heavy stuff, but it's very doable. We developed these kind of tight loops where we would collect from a few different restaurants and then go drop off, and then go out and collect from a few more and then go drop off. So that was a big part of it, was to say, hey, look at us, look what we're doing, buy bike. And one of the most uplifting things through the whole experience was people's thumbs up as we're riding through Midtown or downtown, like, you the man, way to go, buddy.
Nobody cares if we are empty inside or just dying tonight. If we are empty inside.
Was there ever an accident with the composting bicycles where you had compost everywhere?
There were a couple. Yeah, there were a couple when, let's see, maybe I didn't strap them down. I built this bike trail and had walls going up the side and stuff. But, you take a turn going kind of fast, or you don't strap it down good enough, and sure enough, it would tip off and it would just be miserable. I'd be sitting there like in the middle of the road, kind of, telling traffic to go around, picking up, somebody's old broccoli or something. It was, those were, but they, you learn. you don't really make that mistake twice. Yeah, we actually expanded into residential collection, so that was kind of a separate program, and we had one guy hired who continued to do the commercial side of it as we did the residential. And at that point, it started growing to a point where we decided to shift over, I guess it happened with the commercial first, to a truck. Because, yeah, that's right, because it was just, the business was so good, we were collecting so much, and we had to go a little farther out to to dump the stuff.
And so how many years did you do that?
We did it for 3 years, developed the business and marketed it. We did things like a lot of stories in local media, from Edible Reno Tahoe to the R&R. I think I probably did some interviews, at radio and that kind of stuff. And then also we were in Sculpture Fest, where I made a tower of compost again, to kind of promote this idea and get get people thinking about it and think about how we can do this better. So yeah, I did it for 3 years, and then I sold it to the right guy at the right time who just took it to the next level, did exactly what was needed, and then he sold it after about 3 years as well. And the new owners have taken it even farther. And I think they have about 1,000 customers now, residential customers. And then, and part of that is actually a drop-off service that they do. And then they still have the commercial side going as well.
So if somebody's thinking about starting a business that involves bikes in some way or another, do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, so you got to talk to me first. All bike-powered businesses go through me. I'm a little bit of a godfather, and I get 10%. No, I'm just kidding.
You had to have an employee that was in relatively good shape, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like a positive feedback loop too, because I'd be out twice a week biking around, pulling weight, and I was in great shape. I mean, man, my ass guy that never looked better.
Did Katie, your wife, initially not support it, and then the more she saw you riding, then the more she was like, "Yeah, okay, I can get into this."
Yeah, she definitely became a bigger fan. No, she was supportive of it from the beginning.
Okay.
But yeah, it keeps you in shape too. That's the other part of it. It's like, you're out in the air, riding your bike all day or for 4 hours, whatever our shifts were. And I mean, that's just awesome. I mean, and Reno has so many sunny days. I think there was one time in 3 years where we had to delay our pickup, because of snow. So it's just a perfect place to have a bike-powered business. And again, the startup costs are super low. Get creative. What else can be done via bike? I mean, we have all this food delivery these days. People ordering things and the DoorDash and things like that. That might be a place to make the inroads. And people are so supportive. Our customers were so happy that we were collecting by bike. I mean, that was all part of it. People really appreciated that and really appreciated the kind of holistic vision and the practices that we were espousing and adhering to. Making great compost and collecting by bike and just being out there.
You were really sticking to your principles.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. I was looking for those words. Thanks.
Like the holistic thing, all of those good words.
Holistic principles. Yeah. No, but that was really cool because to have that support and the people that sign up, they're excited about it. They want to support things like this, and it's a way they can do it, and a way they can feel good about what they're doing with their food waste. And just be a part of making better change. I like to say, be a part of making the more just and beautiful world that we know is possible. I actually knew somebody who had done this in a different state, and so that's where the original idea came from. And then as I started researching online, I saw they're all over the place. And then there's also, I found out, there's an organization based in, I think, DC and Minnesota called the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, or maybe it's Wisconsin. Anyway, ILSR, and they are huge advocates and supporters of community composting. And they put on a conference every year called the Community Composting Conference. And they're just like an amazing support group with resources, with providing connections with other bike-powered or other small-scale kind of local composters. So we got into that network, and I went to 2 of those conferences and just learned a ton, and got to meet folks doing similar things and compare notes. And what's your pricing? How are you marketing? How are you expanding? What's next? How are you dealing with big waste management companies and that kind of stuff? There was a company in Austin, for example, that was really successful, kind of leading the way. They were called the Compost Peddlers, and then the city decided to start collecting organic waste, and so they might have gone out of business. Actually, I haven't checked in a couple of years, but they had something like 700 customers, were very successful, really well known, and really slick marketing. So overall, it's like societally, it's a great thing if we could capture more of this important stuff, this resource. But for their business, it was detrimental.
And now, when you're running for office and you're going door to door and talking to people, do you mention your composting business that you started it, or do they already know who you are? Or?
So two stories to that. The first is that you will be seeing on the Down to Earth bicycles and bins over the next 3 months. You will see my name proudly displayed. And
You're advertising on the compost bins?
Well, if you call, supporting democracy through, becoming an elected official, advertising, then yes, Kai. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we're gonna be doing that soon. And then the other thing they did is that they sent out a little story about how the Down to Earth was created, and the name I had for it was Reno Riders, which was a little more, kind of.
It was gritty.
It was a little more gritty, yeah. Yeah. So they put out the story to their current customers, and emailed it out and said, "Hey, this guy's running for office, and he's cool, and you should support him." And oh my gosh, I must have gotten 30 new contributors or something just from that email saying, "Hey, thanks for doing this, and so glad you're running. We need more of this kind of stuff in local politics."
It's not like other bikes.
Yeah, so I'm knocking on people's doors today, and I'm having this conversation with this guy named John, and he's like, "Hey, one issue I have is how come I live in like a condominium and we don't get our recycling picked up? Like that's BS." And then we got talking, and I said, "Well, actually I started this business some years ago," and he knew of it. He was like, "Oh, that's so rad! I totally know of it." And just looking at that is like it's the next level. It's like beyond recycling. And there's all sorts of issues with how we do recycling and how everything's made to start off with.
So is that something you'd like to change, is maybe be able to get people recycling at apartment complexes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of those low-hanging fruits that should never have been left out of the original 17-year agreement that the city of Reno signed with Waste Management. It's a different contract through the county. But yeah, that is something that should be part of waste collection. And I would like to see eventually that we do more with green waste collection or drop-off, organic waste drop-off and collection.
So I guess if, we're going to try and look at it from that holistic perspective of, you got your bike and you had no overhead and you built the business, and now it's continues to support you through this campaign. If you win, will you thank bicycles?
Kai, I thank bicycles every day, and the wheel specifically. I mean, without the wheel, you gotta go a little deeper, Kai. It's the wheel that allows the bicycle to move. And some person, years and years ago, probably in like Assyria, came up with this. So yeah, we gotta thank the OG.
We're chatting with Kyle Isacksen, who started a bike-based business called Reno Riders. He started out on his bike collecting food scraps from restaurants, composting it, and turning it into rich soil for growing food. He sold that business. It's now called Down to Earth Composting, and you may see the bikes all over town. Now Kyle Isacksen is running for office. I don't really understand the political realm of all these people being together in a group, like sitting in a board, and then like one of them thinks bike infrastructure is important, but everybody else is like, there's so many more important things. And how do you work within that, so many differing kind of perspectives and competing interests to be able to say, bicycle infrastructure is important or should be a top priority? How do you convince them?
So number one, I think there's an education gap. If you think about the greatest cities you've been to, I bet you a bunch of them have amazing bike and pedestrian infrastructure. And that infrastructure, when you slow down and you get out of a car, whether you're on a bike or walking, you connect with your city and with the people in it in an entirely different way, as well as the environment. And that's an essential human experience, to be able to go from point A to point B at a slower pace and say hi to people and see what's going on and, see what the air feels like. That's essential to quality of life stuff. So I think that starts with education, and there's tons of data out there that support that. Secondly, we need people who are vocal supporters of this kind of stuff. I can only think of one on the Reno Sparks or Washoe County Commission that is a regular supporter of things like this, and that's got to be there. We have to elect people who for whom this is an important part of their life, and who have this, who share this vision and share this understanding of what makes a place magical and special. And then third, there's got to be grassroots support. And I know, like with what you've done and what a lot of people do in Reno, and Sparks in the county, there are a lot of people who care deeply about this stuff. And so we have to organize. We have to organize, and it's got to be grassroots, and it's got to be, go up to the grass tops. And then with that influence, we can make the changes we need. And that's part of the reason that I'm running, is that I'm just one guy, and I am running for one office, and it's going to be me, who sits in that seat, or who's got that title. But it can't be just me, moving forward. It's got to be a group effort. It's got to be people engaged. And in the last month and a half since I've been doing this, that's. I've just been repeating that over and over again. Like, I'm meeting with these amazing people with all these passions and this energy to create a better place. And once this guy gets to that position, that can't stop. So we need to keep these coalitions healthy and strong to enact these changes. And so if somebody else is interested in going this route, yes, go for it, do it. It's an incredible experience, and it's necessary. And part of my reason for running is that this seat, a District 3 seat, it leans Democratic. So whoever wins a primary will likely win the general. And that means that whoever's elected in this primary in June could be on this seat for 12 years, because the incumbent, tends to not have challengers, and there's all sorts of benefits to being the incumbent. What I'm trying to say is this is a really crucial race to elect somebody who's going to stand up for these values. And what I want to do, if I'm elected, is help to nurture and support more people getting into local politics that share a lot of these values that we know are important, and who will stand up and be a champion for this kind of stuff. And so that's actually, one of the more exciting things for me in this run. And I've been borrowing from Muhammad Ali, who is credited with having the shortest poem in the English language. And I think it was in 1975, he was speaking to a group of students, and somebody said, out of the audience, "Ali, give us a poem." And he reflected for a second, and he said, "Me, we." And that's, to me, that just sums it up. It's not just me, Kai, it's we. Amen.
Bicycle, tricycle, take me far with my hands on your handlebar.
Running a business in town that had bicycles as a main component of it, is there anything that you noticed in particular regarding infrastructure?
Yeah. Sometimes it was really scary. Even though we were on a bike with a trailer that was very visible, sometimes it's really scary, because there's places where the bike lanes end, or construction where there's like they haven't made a bike accessible path through that construction zone, which just happened to my son while he was biking to school this morning and on the way home again. So sometimes it was scary, and then also just dealing with motorists who sometimes aren't that familiar with bikes sharing the road.
As a parent with a kid who's 16 and rides their bike often,
My 13-year-old, he bikes to school every day.
And so how do you manage your kids in that conversation around bicycles? Do they ever say, like, "I wish I had a car," or anything like that?
Well, they know that we're not going to be providing that for them.
So they don't even ask.
But they actually on their own, without even being asked by me or my wife, they will say, "Wow, I had such a nice ride home today," or "It feels really good to have that half hour." My one son comes from AACT to our house. It's really nice to have that half hour where he can ride along the river path and get some exercise. And you know, he's in school for 6-7 hours, so to be able to leave school and be in motion and zip across town, it feels good. And he recognizes that. That feels really good as a parent to hear that. Now I just, you know, there's a bit of fear involved too, because I know we scoped out the route with him, and there's a lot of parts that are very safe, but there's a few parts that aren't. And so we talk about that, and there's a little bit of fear there, but
And that's not a short distance from your house to AACT, is it?
it's about 5 miles, I think. Is that right? Maybe 4 miles. I can't remember.
Yeah. And so he's riding 10 miles a day.
No, actually, we drive him in the morning because he's sluggish and it's cold.
Early.
It's early, yeah. So we drive him in the morning with the bike in the back of the car, and he rides home.
Ah, well, that's pretty good.
But our youngest, he goes to a school much closer, so he bikes there and back.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I often have to remind myself of when I talk to people about bicycles, is it doesn't have to be like all bike all the time. There's all kinds of other hybrid options, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we try to live our lives in alignment with our values, and my wife and I started our nonprofit Be the Change project some years ago, and it's been this experiment in doing that. And sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's hard to stick with, like, all right, I'm going to bike all the time. It might be cold out and your kid's crying. It's like, oh God, please give me a car. That's okay, But I think the thing we can do as a region is we can make biking and walking the safest and easiest as possible. That way, more of us can choose that option. With less fear, with more joy. We can have our kids doing it and feel really comfortable about that. So we need to make it, like I said, as safe and protected and as joyful as possible. It's essential. Like I said, it's essential for creating the place that we know is better for us, for the environment, for connection.
We're chatting with Kyle Isacksen, who built a business from the ground up and is now running for office in Washoe County. And so you said that there's a couple other candidates that are running, right? What sets you apart from them?
I don't know a whole lot about them, actually. Yesterday was the first filing day, so I'm kind of eager to learn as well.
Oh, all right, excellent. You gonna ride your bike over to go talk to them?
That's right. Look at me. I could be all self-righteous. I'm on my bicycle.
Maybe you could get them all to go for a ride with you, and you could have a race.
That's right. We can make it really competitive. Whoever wins the race wins the race.
And you have to carry compost.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can make it really competitive. Yeah. No, I think running for office will be competitive enough.
Is this the first time you've ever run for anything?
It is. Yeah. It is, and it's kind of been on my radar, like in the background for a little while, and I've always struggled with, well, how can I make the most difference? Can I do it through our nonprofit and kind of the different activities and projects we take on, or is there another way? I was a teacher for 7 years, and my wife and I started, a project-based alternative middle school program at High Desert Montessori School, and it was kind of the same thinking. It's like, okay, do we... what's the best thing we can do for kids? It's like, we can be teachers, yeah? Okay, what if we create an awesome school? Is that a way to really support education, And it's the same thing in thinking about this with politics. It's like, I know what I've done through our nonprofit. I know what I've done with our community work. And I feel like taking this step is a chance to have a bigger impact and to make a bigger difference in our community and on more people's lives. Yeah, well, this story you said I could share. Remember, this is the second one.
No, this will be the fourth.
Well, no, there was a pair you offered at first, then you
Cut off the pair.
offered me another pair.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's this. Is this the third or is this the second?
It was a pickup truck guy, and here's the second one. So this is a positive experience with my kids or with biking.
Okay.
So we would bike a lot with our kids, and once I got the extra cycle and my eldest could be right behind me on the little surfboard seat, we could just talk for the entire ride, wherever we were going. And I remember really clearly just several amazing conversations where he's like, "Dad, what is permaculture?" It's, "Well, son, or Dad, what is global warming?" "Well, let's talk about that." And it's just, oh my God, you talk about quality time with your kids. There we are, cruising along, being able to talk right next to each other when otherwise, we'd be in a car and, I don't know.
Listening to a radio or something.
Radio, yeah, or something like that. But yeah, those are some really magical experiences that I'll treasure forever.
I ain't kidding, I ain't joking, I'm just laying here choking cause these handlebars are sticking down my throat. I got the front wheel for a day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I used to ride my daughter not far from where you live over to Hunter Lake, which is a couple of miles, and I'd take both of them in a trailer, and it would be freezing cold, and they would be like, "We're gonna
Build character, Kai."
I would throw a blanket at them, and I'd be like, "Here you go, that'll be good enough." And they loved it. And if they weren't having a good time, then I would just swerve a whole lot, and they thought that was great.
Yeah, you figure out those tricks, don't you? Or you we'd stop for ice cream halfway through the ride or something. Yeah, that seems to work.
Excellent. Any other advice for parents who are thinking about taking their kids on bikes? We're kind of transitioned into another topic here, but it does seem to be a skill that you have to have, or have some tricks in your pocket.
Yeah, I would suggest, when your kids can actually start to ride themselves, scope out know the route you're doing, know where the problem spots might be, try to find the safest routes. That's what we would do all the time too. We'd say, well, let's just cut through this neighborhood, even though it's a little bit longer, instead of staying on some main road. So we're always doing that kind of stuff, is just, choosing safer routes. And then when our sons were behind us on their bikes, or between us and their bikes, we kind of had this caravan, 4 of us cycling around. We'd just point out hazards, or you gotta jump a curb here, that kind of stuff. But yeah, you gotta do it. And I think for them, it built a sense of independence and an awareness that otherwise they wouldn't have developed.
I would often do that. At first I was thinking, I don't do that. I just go wherever, and then I'm terrified. And then I'm thinking, my kids aren't the ones who are terrified. It's only me. They're like totally oblivious to what's going on around them. Not so much anymore, but
yeah, they didn't see the car that slammed on its brakes maybe shortly in front of us or something. Yeah, we would try not to point that stuff out.
Yeah. But riding through Midtown here. I've tried to take kids down down Virginia Street through Midtown, and it is not safe, at least from my perspective. And so that's one area where I feel like we really need to educate our local leaders about what would make good infrastructure.
Well, how about the Center Street bike track? That you guys have advocated for so long now. That's a perfect example. Like, that could be a really safe, really effective bicycle track that connects a major artery, north-south artery in the city. And what happens? One lawyer from a casino sends a letter, and all of a sudden, we got to pause it and study it again. What a bunch of BS! It just drives me nuts that's been derailed. It's such a good idea. It makes all the sense in the world, and we need more of that. We need those all over the place. So if you choose me, I will champion bike infrastructure and et cetera, et cetera. You can't see my hands on the radio, but I'm like, I'm doing these politician hand gestures right now.
Very important stuff to do as a politician.
Yeah. I'm a member of the bike community, and it's important to me, and I know it's important to a lot of people.
They leave their door, they go to like their next door neighbor, and they knock, and they're like, "Hey, did you hear this guy on Bike Life Radio? And he was like talking about bikes and how important they are and stuff." Do they go to a website or something, or do you have a phone number? Or,
Yeah. So go to. Don't just do that.
Okay. All right.
Well, you could.
That's what
fine.
I would
That's
do.
fine. Just do that and bring like some crackers or something. Or,
To your neighbor.
Yeah, to your neighbor. A cup of sugar. No, my website is KyleForWasho. KyleForWasho.com.
All right.
Yeah, KyleForWasho.com, and that's FOR. Go there, and then just reach out, and we'll figure out a way that you can help, and that we can make this work. And I got to say something about the door-to-door stuff. It's the heart of our campaign. Talking to people and having these conversations, directly about, well, what do you care about, or why are you running? It's so important, and to have other people who are excited about me running go to their neighbors and go to different communities and say, here's why I like this guy. I mean, it's just like the best thing. It's I'm getting a personal recommendation from somebody because we care about the same issue. So it's really, really important. And what I found about the door knocking is it's energizing, it's fun. And one of our canvassers last week said, I really feel like I made a difference today. So yeah, so get in touch with me. Come on out.
So do you give anybody any snacks or anything?
No, we haven't done that yet. Let me think.
Crackers?
No, gluten-free, organic.
No is okay. It's okay to say no.
No.
It's all about something else.
Yeah, no,
Getting a free snack.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not coming because there's no snacks.
What's the goo? The bicycle goo stuff? Yeah, we'll start giving that out.
It's got a lot of caffeine in it. You could really, you wouldn't want to be too amped up when you go door to door, right?
Well, you got to keep a level head. You got to listen. It's a lot of it's listening.
listen.
You got to listen. Yeah. But here's the thing too. Here's a challenge. Like I would love to do a bike-powered canvas day. So if anybody's really interested in that, let's get together and get a critical mass, and we'll cut the turf and we'll get out there on bikes. That would be a great message and a great story. It's very targeted who we're speaking to, and because it's a Democratic primary, so the houses are farther apart. Yeah.
Okay. And then, what about showing up all sweaty at somebody's door? So you don't want to be too amped up and too sweaty.
Yeah. No, I think that we're sweating for you. We're out here working hard to earn your vote. So I think that's okay, Kai. Yeah. I think it's okay.
All right, well, maybe all right. I'm closer now. Even though there aren't any snacks, if I can be sweaty and super amped up, then all right. That's 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
When's the election?
So the primary election is June 14th, but because we've done some great things in this county around elections over the last several years, everybody is getting a mail-in ballot sent to them the week of the 15th. And then early voting starts the week after that for a 2-week period. So starting basically the 16th of May, people will be able to cast their votes. And then election day itself is June 14th, where you can also go out and cast a vote.
So you only have a month and a half, before people start voting.
Is that right?
It's was it March, April, May 15th? Is that
A couple months.
2 months? Is it 2.5 months?
I think it's like 2 months, yeah.
You were a teacher, so you can help me do math.
Yeah, 2 months or so, yeah. Yeah. No, it's a sprint. Yeah, it's a marathon. And it's exciting. Yeah.
How many doors a day are you knocking on?
1 million.
So you've got all kinds of research and stuff like that. And you know where people live. And
I'm practically a scientist. I was a biology teacher. Yeah, research. There's software that's provided through the Democratic Party that you have to pay for that allows you to create a Canvas program. We look at who we want to talk to and who makes sense to reach out to, and then we add on some more to that and get in the streets.
So what's your pitch? You come and you knock on my door, and then I'm busy cutting up broccoli or whatever, or watching some show, and then you're there all of a sudden, and you're a stranger, and I don't know who you are. What do you say?
Well, the first thing I would say to you is please put your pants on, and then then we can talk. No. I actually saw that on a doormat today. It said, after you knock, wait a while because I'm putting my pants on.
Excellent.
But yeah, no. What I say is I just introduce myself and say I'm Kyle Isacksen, and I'm running for Washoe County Commission, District 3. Here's my little, walk card with some of the issues that I care about in the back. And then I just say, what are you concerned about, or what are you excited about in our community? And just opening up a conversation. And people are happy to talk. So it's great. Yeah.
All right.
Literally today, I was out for an hour and probably knocked on only 10 doors because we had so many long conversations that one woman was sharing about a dog that was trapped in a drain. Yeah, and then we got...
And she wanted you to solve that?
She was wondering if I could solve that, which was, it was funny. But no, and then we talked about lighting at bus stops. We talked about, like I mentioned, recycling getting collected from condos and whatnot. We talked about the kind of election nonsense that's been going on with people claiming fraud. A lot of people are concerned about that. We talked about affordable housing today. We spoke to a couple in their mid-70s, I'd say, who've been renting the same place for a long time, like 20 years, and they're at the point now where they can't afford the rent increases. Their rent's about to go up $400 a month, and they're like, what do we do? We're on fixed incomes. It's like, and we're hearing that, multiple times a day. So it's a really valuable experience. Okay, so there was Trump, and then there was COVID, and I was kind of like done. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do our little nonprofit thing. I'm going to teach people how to build houses out of Adobe, and I'm done. And then a couple people asked me to consider running, and I started thinking about it and looking into it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to give up. Like I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna step up instead of give up. It has been the funnest thing, and I feel we all have a responsibility to engage as citizens in our democracy, and when we do not, bad things happen. And so if we can get more people out there because it's a bike-centered event, then amen to that, And it feels good, Kai. It feels good to participate and to actually be an active citizen and to feel like you're doing something that could make a difference. Because this is local. Like I said, this is an important race. It's an important seat. And it's going to help shape, whoever wins this will shape the county for the next 12 years. So, I mean, if that can't get you fired up about getting involved, it's like, come on, have some more goo, get some caffeine, whatever. Come on out. Let's do this.
Today we've been chatting with Kyle Isacksen, a bike advocate who started Reno Rot Riders and is now running for office in Washoe County. That's it for Bike Life Radio. We recorded this interview like all our interviews out in the field. No studio ever, right? When life seems like an uphill battle, get on your bike and remember what Tim Badger once said. It's only a hill. Get over it. I'm Kai Plascon. Ride on.
O fanti tu maloesa Uli ja tipis Zetia tu makakot pa Gulapi tu galote more sumakham Goli jat likha se itima tu tumar naam